Welcome to the Speak to Influence podcast. I'm Karen Sachs. Today, we're going to be talking about speaking clearer English without losing your identity. Now, while this is predominantly for English as a second language speakers, it actually impacts native English speakers as well. Because everywhere across the United States, Great Britain, Australia, and other places that speak English as a primary language, we have accents. Different parts of the country speak different ways. I work with a lot of people across the world, and I'm frequently told how much they like my accent. I don't think about having an accent, but for South Central Pennsylvania, this is how I talk. So know that your accent, whatever it is perfectly acceptable. There have been times when people may say, gosh, I wish I just spoke a little more clearly. I wish I didn't have an accent. I wish I sounded more American. I wish I had that cute Southern accent, etc., etc. The bottom line is people don't care about accents. They care about speaking clearly. And that is what we're going to be talking about tonight. There are so many people who have non-English accents that are huge successes. I've worked with many of them. And the secret is not that they sound American. The secret is that they speak clearly. And that's what we want to talk about tonight. There are people, and I'm reading off of a list to make sure I pronounce them properly. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, recognized for promoting a growth mindset and inclusivity. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. Shantanu Narayan, the CEO of Adobe. These are all extraordinarily talented CEOs whose initial native language is not English, and yet they work in the English-speaking community with ease. Then you've got actors and actresses, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Selma Hayek, Antonio Banderas. These are all people who, when they came to Hollywood, didn't speak English at all. And now they're huge names in the industry. The bottom line is the people whose names I've mentioned still have native accents from where they were born, but they speak clearly. They speak with structure. They speak so that you can understand them. And that is where success lies for them. Not that they sound American, but because they sound clear. So what makes speech difficult to understand? First and foremost are the basic things of clarity. We're talking about finishing the sounds of words, making sure that ing is ing and not in, speaking, not speaking. Structure in our sentences as well as our strain of thought. Too many times people ramble. They wander all around the place before they finally land on their point. That is not clear. And there are plenty of native English people who speak that way, whether they have a non-native accent or not. So this is messages for everyone. You want to be clear in what you're communicating. You want to make sure that you are sharing with people the message that you want, that your ideas are organized, your speech is understandable, and most importantly, that your confidence is visible. There are things that are missing in many accents, both English accents as well as non-English accents. Those are things like missing sounds, unclear vowels, incorrect stress, and speaking too quickly. If you have any type of an accent for someone around you who does not speak as you speak in your native tongue or your part of the country, you will find that there is great difficulty sometimes in understanding you, particularly when you speak quickly. But let's talk about some of the things, the sounds that may be difficult for people. There are many languages that do not have the English TH sound, the th, as in this, that, three, thank, Thursday. So what we end up with is tink, tree, tank, Thursday. That is not clear English. And it can be confusing, particularly if you're talking about trees or tanks instead of three or thank. You need to be aware of this because, as I said, languages such as Russian, Polish, Turkish, French, many of the Asian languages, a lot of the Latin-based languages do not have the TH sound. And that can be a huge difference in the language that you're speaking if you're not clearly pronouncing TH. This can be very difficult because I teach a class called Clear Speaking for ESL Professionals. One of my clients is Russian and does not have the TH sound in her language. And the difficulty is not as simple as saying, well, just make the th sound. Her tongue has never been in that position before. Her mouth has never been shaped that way before. And so making a TH sound is very difficult for her. So it requires a lot of work. Vicki, welcome. I'm glad you're here today. The other sounds that are sometimes difficult are vowel sounds, like the short I sound, as in sit, live, ship, fill. What happens often in many languages is that instead of the soft I, their tongue pronounces a hard E. So instead of sit, you say seat. I seat at the table. Unfortunately, seat is still a real word, just like in sit, seat, live, leave, ship, sheep, fill, feel. These are all taking one English word to another English word. And it's simply a matter of mispronunciation because in the native tongue, the soft I sound doesn't exist. Another place that you will see is stresses. English is filled with stresses, putting stresses on different words to have different pronunciation and different meaning to a sentence. The difference between I need this report on Friday, or I need this report on Friday. Two separate meanings because the emphasis on the words is placed differently. This is something else that runs into confusion both for non-native English speaking people as well as people in different parts of the country. Those are areas to be working on. And most particularly, you want to make sure that you're speaking slowly enough so that people can understand what you're saying. The important thing to know is that it's not about perfect pronunciation. It's about being clear. And that is what we want to talk about today, being clear. Because people don't actually judge your pronunciation. They judge your clarity. They also judge your trust, your judgment, your confidence. Those are the things that they're looking at. So as long as they can clearly understand what you're trying to communicate, they aren't concerned about whether you have an accent or not. And in most cases, people believe that accents sound beautiful because they're exotic and unique. And that includes different accents across the country. Here in the United States, I love the Southern accent. I think that it's very beautiful. And they sound different from me. Therefore, sometimes I have difficulty understanding them. It's important whether your accent, quote unquote, is because you're English as a second language speaker or because you're someplace else in the country. We all sound different. So whether you are a native English speaker or not, you need to make sure that you're focusing on clarity in your communication, in your pronunciation, and in your sentence structure. Your accent is part of your story. It shows that if you are an ESL speaker, that you've learned more than one language. That's impressive. That's something to be respected and something that we should be focusing on as something to be admired, not criticized. You want to make sure that you don't lose your identity because that's what your accent is. It's part of your identity. Whether you're from Texas or Boston or New York or Madrid, whether you're from Russia or Turkey or Colombia, all of those accents are beautiful and they're part of the story of who you are and where you're from. And if you are an ESL speaker, the fact that you've learned at least a second language, that should be respected and appreciated. So know that that's part of your story. Accent is proof that you've learned another language. That's something to respect, not hide. And you can improve your clarity without erasing your identity. At no point in any of my courses do I tell you to lose your accent. There are some professionals out there who are public speakers, who are ESL speakers, who feel the need to eliminate their accent. I disagree with that. I think that clarity through your accent is beautiful and strong, and that is where you should be focusing on. The fastest path to clear speech is to focus on the consonants so they're clear, like the TH. Firm vowel sounds, like the soft I. Stressing words for emphasis in what you're trying to say. The final consonants, like the ING or the ED, making sure that you understand them and slowing down. And most importantly, practice. I teach a course called Clearer Speaking for ESL Professionals. We go over a wonderful curriculum of pronunciation, of consonants, of vowels, of sentence structure, of clarity with words, with the difficult English sounds and speaking confidently in meetings. And we use real-world practice in all of our courses. But at no point do I ask someone to stop speaking with an accent. And in every point, I talk about practice. Once you've mastered these tools, you can't just stop because you will fall back into what you've been speaking for decades. So what you want to focus on is practice. As little as 3 minutes a day can make a difference. Focus on the word or words that are difficult for you, or the specific areas that are difficult for you. If you are having difficulty with THs, then create a sheet of words that start with TH and run around the house for 3 minutes repeating them. The fastest path to clear speech is desire to sound clear, to practice every day, and to focus on what you want to do. What is your goal? If your goal is to communicate clearly, your goal is to connect with other people. You do that by speaking clearly. And finally, I've suggested to you that I have a course called Clearer Speaking for ESL Professionals. I highly recommend that you consider that if you are an ESL professional. And I offer a similar course for native English speakers. In those courses, we talk about clarity, we talk about sentence structure, and most importantly, we do real-world practice. If you're interested in any of those courses, I suggest that you go to my StreamYard website, my Substack website, and you will see the courses under the store. So whether you need to speak clearer English as an ESL speaker or as an native English speaker, I highly recommend that you focus on clarity in everything that you do. It will give you stronger relationships. It will definitely improve your position professionally, including opportunities and income that you deserve. It will deepen your relationships with people as you connect with them. And now I want to say thank you for being here. Vicki, thank you for being live with me. And for all of you who watch this as a replay, thanks for stepping in. Now I wish you the greatest of nights, best of success, and clarity and connection in all of your communications. Good night.